Hey, what's up? We're back this week. It's for we're gonna be doing two events this week. The tough event, which I'm actually gonna be going to, so I'm pretty excited about that, and then also the event in Adelaide, UFC Fight Night 142. But today we're gonna be doing the Fight Night 142 first. I just did that tape first, so I'm gonna give you guys that video first, and I'm gonna try to give you the tough video either Tuesday night or Wednesday, but I'll definitely have it out this week. Before the fights start. But first, we're gonna go back. We're gonna talk about UFC China a little bit. Oh yeah, by the way, I got a new mic, so I want everyone to let me know how it sounds in the comments, if it's an improved sound, what you guys think. So would appreciate the feedback on that. But I got a new mic, so hopefully it sounds a lot better for everyone. But first, we're going to do the UFC China review a little bit. And, we were able to hit the most confident pick, but we did not get the parlay of the week this week. Francis Ngannou showed up, and he spoiled the party for us, man. 40-second knockout, big win for Francis Ngannou. He gets his career back on track, and but we're going to get into it for the first fight of the night. The first fight is Luis Smolka versus Subadarje, and I got this one incorrect. I went with Subadarje. I kind of liked what I saw on tape, and I still liked what I saw from him. He's a young guy. He's going to, have a lot of room to improve, and definitely has some good stand-up skills. I thought that he was winning the fight against Smolka, and Smolka was able to find a way to get it to the ground, and he got the job done there. Good job by Luis Smolka. I thought Subadarje actually showed some improved grappling, improved defense. But, big win for Luis Smolka. He came back in the UFC, got a victory. And good for him, man. He quit drinking, changed his life around, and now he's back in the UFC, back in the win column. And we'll see where he goes from here. And Subadarje, I think he's an interesting fighter as well. I think you should match him up with the striker next. Maybe another, Asian guy. And, make it a fun fight for Subadarje to go over and, have a fight with someone, that's going to want to do something that he wants to do, which is stay on the feet. So definitely think Subadarje probably could win a few fights in the UFC as well. And then up next we had Kevin Holland against John Phillips. And, Kevin Holland looked great in this fight. John Phillips actually looked great as well. Phillips, got to give him credit. He's a big underdog. He came to fight. Was in that second round, I thought he won the second round, and he was really swinging a lot of haymakers. Looked like he had Holland hurt a couple times. But that first round, Kevin Holland almost got the finish with the striking. He had those front kicks to the body that were really nasty. Really started unloading with some nice combinations when he had Phillips hurt to the body and stuck against the cage. And, he kind of was able to control distance, land, not get hit, keep Phillips at the end of his reach, and really looked good in that first round. The second round was a little bit of a bumpy round for him. Phillips was able to get inside, use his boxing combinations, land a few big hooks. Seemed like he stumbled Holland a couple of times. Holland was in retreat mode a little bit, defensive shell. And in that third round, took him down right away, got on top, was able to find a submission. And I thought he could have done that very early in the fight, to be honest with you. I just think John Phillips has a big deficiency in his jiu-jitsu and his wrestling game. But, Kevin Holland is the type of guy that wants to put on a show for the fans, wants to make it a fun fight. So he did that. He made it a fun fight, a fun scrap, and he ended up getting the finish victory. So nothing lost there for Kevin Holland. And big win for him. He comes back, drops back down to his regular weight class, 185 pounds, and goes out there and gets a dominant win against a guy like John Phillips, who's a dangerous striker. So big win for Kevin Holland. He's going to be moving up in the division. And for John Phillips, that's 2 straight submission losses. And not sure if he's going to hang around in the UFC, but if he does, I wouldn't mind seeing him go in there with another striker where he can brawl it out and he can have a fun fight. Then up next we have Yao Zhang against Suri Kondo. And, I thought Suri Kondo showed a lot of heart in this fight. She was coming forward the entire time, pushing the pace. She was the one that was, bringing the fight a little bit to Yao Zhang in terms of forward pressure, but she had nothing for her in terms of actually landing shots. Zhao Zhang was the one landing her check left hook, landing cleaner shots, catching Kondo. She closes the distance, and just being the much cleaner, better striker. And, she was able to get a dominant victory. It was a very good performance by Kondo, in my opinion, as well. She was able to take a lot of shots, continue to come forward, so she has a lot of heart. But, much better performance, obviously, from Zhao Zhang. And she proves that she's pretty much ready, in my opinion, for a top 15 fighter. I think that she's proved it. She's now 3-0 in the UFC, 3 pretty dominant wins. And I think that her next fight should be against a top 15 girl. And for Suri Kondo, she definitely seems like she's lost 2 in a row in the UFC. She's kind of plateaued in terms of, being a gatekeeper, probably a girl that could test up-and-coming fighters, really pressure them, make them work, go all 3 rounds, but not much of a threat to get the victory there. But I still think Suri Kondo will probably get another fight in the UFC. And up next, you have Pigwad Liu against Martin Day. This was a very close fight. This was actually the most confident pick of the night. And the first round, Pigwad Liu Actually, I think he broke his hand. And he won the first round, in my opinion. He was able to get a few takedowns, but that was the questionable round. A lot of people thought Martin Day won that round. And, Martin Day looked really good. He was able to keep the distance. He was able to land a lot of shots, and it really looked like he broke Piguan Liu, in my opinion, in that second round. And I was very nervous that he was going to lose that fight going to the third round. I did not think that Liu was going to be able to come back and show the heart that he did. But, man, he really showed a lot of heart. He was able to take the back and, got the takedown, controlled Martin Day on the ground. And if he didn't drop him and get that takedown, I mean, he dropped him with the shot. And then got on top of him. He didn't get a takedown, I don't think, actually. He dropped him with the shot and got on top of him. If he didn't drop him, get on top, and, control that time on the ground, he definitely would have lost the fight, in my opinion. So, really showed that Piguan Liu is very strong mentally. He has a lot of heart. He's never out of the fight. Big win for him. He's one of those guys traded at Team Alpha Male, along with Giagos Saga, and another brilliant performance here. And, he's someone to look at in the future, in my opinion. He's very physical. I really like his physicality, but does need to, get a bit better with his range striking. Now that I know they had a broken hand, seemed like that really did affect him a bit, so maybe that's why he had a poor showing in the second and beginning of the third round. But we're going to see if Piguan Liu is going to be able to continue to move up the ranks. And for Martin Day, that was a great showing for him. Came in on short notice, had to travel all the way to China, and had a fun, competitive fight with a local fighter in Piguan Liu, who was a pretty big favorite against him. So, great showing by Martin Day. He really upped his stock, in my opinion. He's going to get another fight in the UFC and get a chance to show his skills. And up next, we had Weili Zhang against Jessica Aguilar. And, man, this was just a devastating win for Weili Zhang, man. She took Jessica Aguilar down, was able to land these nasty elbows, man. Really cut open Jessica Aguilar's face, just beat the hell out of her. It was a beatdown, man. Kind of sad to see a legend like that for women's MMA. Jessica Aguilar just getting crushed. But Weili Zhang is legit, man. She's the real deal. She's someone that I can really see making an impact in these UFC rankings, in the future. So she's definitely someone that I really like. I'm pinpointed as a potential contender in the future, and she's just extremely strong, man. The way that she took down Aguilar in that body lock was just something else. I mean, she shows that she really has some really nice grappling. Her striking is on point as well. And she's a problem in that division for sure. I saw Yan Xiaonan called her out. That would be a very fun fight. I also wrote on Twitter that I would enjoy seeing her against Cynthia Calvillo, which I also think would be a very good fight. So there's a lot of matchups there for Weili Zhang, but I feel like she definitely should get a step up in competition. And for Jessica Aguilar, that was a very tough loss. She's obviously very old. And, that might spell the end for Jessica Aguilar, in my opinion. I mean, she may come back, who knows. But in my opinion, I feel like she might be time to hang him up. And up next, we had the fight of the century, Rashad Coulter against Yao Xianghu. I mean, this was kind of what we all expected, right? I mean, Rashad Coulter coming out, landed some big shots early, really hurt Hu, had him on the back foot in the first round, almost finished him. And after that, it was just Coulter being exhausted and Hu walking him down, landed the bigger shots. And, Coulter actually did do a good job of being a little bit more technical in this fight. He was landing a decent jab, decent straight punches. And, he was just able to do just enough to edge out Yao Xianghu on the scorecards, but just a very low-level fight. Hu is definitely not UFC material. Neither is Coulter. Coulter missed weight for his light heavyweight debut. He was 208 pounds, so that even puts into question if he could even make the weight for that new weight class. So, overall, I don't think their stock went up really for either guy. Kind of pretty bad fight, in my opinion. I don't think Hu will come back in the UFC. And Coulter, I think he obviously is probably going to get another opportunity since he got the win. But, not really looking for him to do much in the UFC, in my opinion. And up next, Yanan Wu against Lauren Mueller. And we had a big upset here. Yanan Wu was able to get the armbar on Lauren Mueller. I actually thought Lauren Mueller was probably controlling the fight. She was winning the stand-up. And, she was landing some nice boxing combinations. It looked like she hurt Yanan Wu a couple times. Wu was the one backing up, and then she dropped Yanan Wu, and maybe she just got a little bit too aggressive. She went into her guard a little bit nonchalant, and she ended up getting submitted. And Yanan Wu was able to wrap up an armbar. It was very similar to Shane Burgos, the way that he got dropped, and he was able to get the armbar on Kurt Hollabaugh. So very good job by Yanan Wu to stay calm after getting hurt, know what she has to do, and wrapping up that armbar. And for Lauren Mueller, that was her first fight overseas. She was only about like 6-0, I believe. She had to go all the way to China, fight a local fighter. So I think that that's a good learning experience for her. I don't think that, she didn't get dominated. She didn't get knocked out. So I don't think it's a bad loss. And she'll definitely learn and grow from that one. But for Yanan Wu, that's a big win. She lost her previous fight in the UFC in pretty dominant fashion. She was, I think Lauren Mueller was minus 500. So she was a huge underdog. And she went in there. She got the job done, man. And she proved that she's, maybe a little bit underrated in my opinion. Maybe she could potentially get a few wins in the UFC. And up next, Alex Morono against Kenan Song. And, that's kind of what I initially thought was going to happen, and then I ended up changing my pick to Kenan Song. I just thought that Morono was probably going to be the guy that was able to stick and move, land shots, and, Kenan Song just has a low output, man. And I thought that Song easily could have won the fight. I thought that he was the one landing the cleaner shots when they connected. I thought he hurt Morono a couple times. And he just didn't throw enough, man. He didn't throw enough. He let Morono back him up. He let Morono throw those wild hooks. And Morono was able to get a huge, huge win. I think with the loss, he probably, would have been cut. He would have lost 3 out of 4 fights. I think 4 out of 5, actually, if you count the, he would have lost 3 out of 4 fights. And, 4 out of 5 if you would count the Nico Price fight where he got finished. But it was a no contest due to Price smoking weed. So even that fight, he lost as well. So it would have been 4 out of 5 losses for him, but I definitely think he would have been cut. So he saved his job with a big win. And Kenan Song, he took a step back. He was 2-0 in the UFC. With the win there, especially if he got another finish win, he probably would have got a top 15 fighter in his next fight, but definitely proved he's not at that level. He's not ready for that level of competition. And maybe give him a few lower level guys again. Let him see if he can get some knockouts and build himself back up. I know he's traded at Jackson Week. He is trying to improve his skills, so I think that, he'll stick around in the UFC, but who knows for how long. And up next, Lee Jigliang against David Zawada. We got this one wrong as well. I thought David Zawada was going to be able to get the job done. And, he actually did exactly what a lot of Lee Jigliang's opponents do as well. He started out strong, really hurt Lee Jigliang, dropped him, almost finished him. And Lee Jigliang, once again, he was able to survive, able to come back and get the win, man. That's kind of his thing. He gets dropped in the first round seemingly in like every fight that he's in, and he's able to come back, get the victories, and, big ups to Lee Jigliang. I mean, that finish was nasty. A front side kick to the body. I mean, a front leg side kick to the body. That was really nice. I mean, I haven't seen someone finish someone with a front leg side kick to the body in the UFC, and, I mean, I don't remember the last time I've seen that. That was really pretty crazy technique there by Lee Jigliang. And after the first round, it looked like Lee Jigliang really started throwing more leg kicks. He hurt David Zawada's leg, and I think that's the main thing that affected Zawada's cardio and affected his movement as well, because in the earlier rounds, he was doing a great job of, slipping shots, landing the right hand, using good movement in and out. And after that, he's a lot more stationary. Jigliang was able to start piecing him up with leg kicks, started to land his own punches, and you could tell that the shots were affecting David Zawada when they were landing. And Zawada gassed out again, man. I mean, I think that Zawada's a pretty decent fighter, but I would really recommend not to take any more short notice fights, because that's 2 short notice fights in which he, gassed out in the third round. And I don't think it's a very smart thing for him to continue to take short notice fights for his career, but he's 0-2 now in the UFC. He's fought 2 good guys. I'm sure he'll get another fight. He just signed a 4-fight contract, so he's still in good standing with the company, and he brings fun fights. So I think that he'll definitely get another opportunity. But for the Leech, that was a big win. I mean, that guy has won, I think he's won 6 out of his last 7 UFC fights. He hasn't been fighting the highest level competition, so maybe it's time to get him a step up to a, top 25 guy, maybe even a top 15 fighter. I think he was projected or going to fight a top 15 guy. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but I believe he got injured. So they were already planning on giving Lee Jigliang a higher level opponent. So I don't think this performance will change that at all. I think he'll definitely get a higher level guy, and we'll see what he can do from there. I mean, Lee Jigliang, in my opinion, I don't think his chin's going to hold up, man, for much longer. You can't continue to get hit and dropped like that. Eventually you're going to get knocked out, in my opinion. And so that's just what I believe. I believe that I think sooner or later he may get finished with strikes. But until then, he's extremely fun to watch. He's a very good fighter, and he got a big-time win there. For David Zawada, definitely needs to bounce back and get a win on his next fight, or I think he'll probably be cut from the organization. And up next, we had Giagos against Fitz Morales. And this was a great fight, great performance by Giagos. I mean, his movement is just really good, man. He just was able to control the distance, land shots on Vince Morales, and just win a dominant decision. I mean, Morales landed a few good shots. I think he actually maybe even hurt Giagos a couple times, where not like hurt him majorly, but made him respect him definitely. So Morales had a good showing, but Giagos is just an explosive guy. He's very good, and just had another dominant performance there. And he's looking really good. He's looking like he could be a future contender in the division. So big win for Giagos, and he's going to continue to rise up in those rankings. And up next, we had Alistair Overeem against Sergey Pavlovich. And I got a lot of flack for my pick here on Alistair Overeem, but he was able to come back and put it in everyone's face that was doubting him, and he got the job done, man. I mean, Pavlovich just had nothing for him on the feet. He didn't have anything for him on the ground, and Overeem was able to back him up. He landed some brutal knees. He found a takedown and put his ass out with ground and pound. So huge win for the Reed, man. I mean, with the loss there, his career would have really been in a really downward spiral. I don't know if he would have been able to continue his UFC career. So with that win there against Sergey Pavlovich, he re-announced himself that he's a top 10 guy, some guy that's just coming into the organization, just going to come in and beat his ass. That's not going to happen. He's only lost to the highest of the highest echelon. You know, fighters like Curtis Blades, fighters like Francis Ngannou, Stipe Miocic, all those guys are in the top 10 of the division. And he's been able to beat everyone else, take everyone else out most of the time. So Overeem is still extremely dangerous. He's still extremely good. I saw he called for another fight with Francis Ngannou, where I don't know about that one. I mean, I don't know if I want to see that. I don't know if I want to see anyone get hit like that again. I mean, the way that Francis Ngannou hit him was just vicious, man. I mean, it was hard to watch, and I don't know if I want to see Overeem get hit like that again, but I think if Overeem, obviously, if he can get Francis Ngannou to the ground, I mean, Ngannou's in a world of trouble. That guy is huge ground and pound, great submission ability, and if Overeem can start to become more of a grappling heavy-based attack, I mean, who knows what he can do, man? I mean, this guy's changed his style so many times. He used to be a marauder, come forward, Uber-eem, just take people out, turned into a guy that's used a lot of movement, hands-down style, footwork, tried to circle around the cage, hit, not get hit, counter-strike, and now he's most recently flashed this back to his ability to grapple like he did against Frank Mir, and now he's showing extremely good ground and pound. So he's, reincarnated himself again. And if this is going to be his continued style of fighting, I mean, I'd be interested to see how far he could bring it, because he really showed just absolutely devastating ground and pounds. That was a huge win for Alistair Overeem. And for Sergey Pavlovich, I mean, obviously to get your first fight in the UFC is Alistair Overeem. That's obviously a very tough thing to do. So I don't think that, he's done by any means. Maybe he could fight a guy like Blagoy Badov, who also got called into basically a tune-up fight with Junior Dos Santos. So maybe it could be like the battle of the tune-up fight, heavyweights, Sergey versus Blagoy. And, the winner could prove that he's still in the top 15. So I think that maybe that's a good matchup for Sergey. And for Alistair Overeem, I mean, I know he said he wanted to fight Francis. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have a name for you guys right now off the top of my head for Alistair Overeem. But definitely want to see him fight again, that's for sure. And I'm actually Francis Ngannou against Curtis Blades. And, man, I mean, Curtis Blades just got caught, man. Got caught early. He was circling to the power side of Francis Ngannou, which I noticed almost immediately, and I didn't like. I, got a little bit of a weird feeling when I started to see that, because I was like, if he's going to continue to circle to that side, I mean, he obviously has the chance to get hit, and that's exactly what happened. He got clipped. It seemed like he walked right into the shot and dropped, and people are saying that's a bit of an early stoppage. In my opinion, I thought it was going to be an early stoppage. It looked like Mark Goddard got in there and was about to stop Francis Ngannou after the initial drop, which I thought would have been a bad stoppage. But then he allowed it to continue, and I think that it was a good stoppage at that point, because he gave him about 2 or 3 chances to recover, man, and Blades was just going to continue to fall down, continue to turn his back, and I thought that it was a just decision to stop the fight. So huge win for Francis Ngannou. I mean, huge win. I mean, that really saved his career, in my opinion. I mean, a loss there would have been devastating for his career. And for Curtis Blades, he's now 0-2 against Francis. And that's a big loss, because he would have, in my opinion, probably been the number 1 contender, or he would have been in line for a fight with Stipe Miocic. So now he's going to have to go back to the drawing board, probably fight another guy outside the top 10 and rebuild himself up. But Curtis Blades, in my opinion, is still going to be a potential factor in the UFC. I mean, he's only 26 years old, and he's someone that has, the type of wrestling that could give any heavyweight in the world problems. So Curtis Blades is still going to be around. And for Francis Ngannou, I mean, that was a huge win once again. Like I said, I mean, now he's right back in the thick of it, man. I mean, he can fight anyone in the top 5 now, and it would be a sellable fight. So huge win for Francis Ngannou. I mean, he got right back on track with another win. I think that he'd probably get another title shot. So Francis Ngannou completely turned around his career. There's people talking about him going to Bellator, people talking about him getting cut, and now, I mean, he's right back in the thick of it. So great job by Francis Ngannou. Shut all the haters up, proved everyone wrong, including me, and got a huge win. So big win for Francis Ngannou. And pretty good card overall for the UFC China fight. But we're going to start going now on the UFC Fight Night 142. And the first fight of the night that I have here is Damir Ismagulov against Alex Gorgees. And to be honest with you, I couldn't find a ton of footage on Alex Gorgees. But this is about two UFC newcomers. Ismagulov is much more experienced. He's fought the higher level of competition. And Gorgees, he hasn't fought very many high level fighters, if any. And Ismagulov will be easily his stiffest test to date. Ismagulov looks pretty technical everywhere. He's a very smart and composed fighter. He was originally supposed to fight Joe Duffy for this fight, so this is a significant step down in competition. But he looks to be mainly a wrestler, but also a very solid striker. He has a nice jab, very good straight right hand. He does a good job of keeping his guard high and defense on point. He has nasty front and round kicks to the body and to the head. He throws nice spinning techniques. He has a nice spinning back fist, spinning back kick to the body. He doesn't do great dealing with pressure on the feet. He'll back up in straight lines. Fighters can back him up to the ropes and land longer combinations. And this is a sizable step down with Gorgees from Joe Duffy, like I said. And I think it's probably a step down from the most recent fighters that he's been fighting, even in M1 Challenge. But the thing about it is I'm not sure. I couldn't find many fights with Damir fighting in a cage. So I think this will be one of the first few times he's fighting in a cage. He's been fighting in a ring a lot, so that could be a potential factor. But he has 8 TKOs. He's only been finished one time in his career, and it was by doctor stoppage. But Ismagulov is a fantastic wrestler. He does a great job setting his shots up with strikes. He has nasty single leg, extreme strength in these positions. He'll lift fighters off their feet, land explosive slam takedowns. He'll come up into a body lock if he can't finish the single leg, and he has good control against the ropes. He'll land short knees and punches. Does a good job circling to the back and slam takedowns or ducking under, grabbing double legs. In top position, he's very heavy on top. He has great pressure passing. He likes to get the side control. He'll land nasty elbows and punches. In full and half guard, he'll throw nasty body shots, big ground and pound punches. He does a great job getting them out, taking the back, then landing brutal ground and pound until the refs stop the fight. And he's going to come into this match with a game plan, follow it to a T. He's just one of those guys. He's very cerebral. And he does a good job of fighting where his opponent is weak, then taking it there continuously. So if he feels he has an advantage on the feet, he'll keep it on the feet and beat him up. If he feels the advantage on the ground, he'll take the guy down. And he has fantastic cardio. He's fought in a few 5-round matches. He isn't a submission threat. He has 0 submissions in his career. He's never been submitted himself. But he's won 11 consecutive fights. He should be extremely confident here. And he should look to take Gorgees down, pound him out on the ground. Gorgees does seem to be a decent striker. And winning on the ground will definitely be Ismagulov's least path of resistance for a victory. And for Gorgees, he's taking this fight on short notice. He has a very stiff test here. He's getting to fight in his home country of Australia, but he's just 7-0. And he looks to be a pretty good striker. He has solid hand speed. He looks to be long for the division as well. And he has a great jab, nasty one too. He does a great job using his front hand to control distance. He'll slap and push opponents' heads back with his lead hand, then follow with the straight right hand down the pipe. He's great in the pocket at slipping punches, returning with his own. He does a great job leading out of the way, returning with the straight left hand, and he has good power on it. He has strong kicks. He'll throw nasty leg and body kicks. He has a nice step-in knee. He does a good job throwing head kicks at the end of his combinations, and he loves to talk in the cage. He'll get in wars. He'll get hit. He'll drop his hands. He'll let fighters hit him. And he seems to have a very strong chin, but he hasn't faced many good fighters at all. And the best fighter Gorgees has probably ever faced is 16-14, and he's now about to face a 16-2 fighter, so just shows you the level of difference in competition. And he has good power. He has 3 TKOs and 7 wins, and he's never lost, so he's still undefeated. He has that confidence. He seems to not be a great wrestler, and his takedown defense is very questionable. But he is good in the clinch. He does a good job getting the plum clinch where he'll land hard knees to the body and the head, nice elbows. He does allow fighters to close the distance, get it on his legs, and he seems to have okay takedown defense against the cage, but fighters are able to take him down in space and by chain wrestling. He is active off his back. He'll attack with triangles, arm bars, he'll throw elbows, he'll look to sweep. When he sweeps the top position, he'll work quickly. He likes to get to the mount where he'll throw down ground and pound. And he has one rear naked choke and 2 submissions. He's never been submitted himself, and he still is his brass shuffle on the ground too. I've seen him flick fighters off when fighters are trying to leg lock him. And just show total disdain for the skills on the ground also. But he has only 1 decision. I haven't seen how Gorge's cardio is in later rounds. Gorge's needs to be aggressive here. Try to get Ismagulov moving backwards. And I'm not sure if Ismagulov has ever fought in a cage. And maybe if Gorge's can back him up there, he can force him at a close range where he can land a shot and close and finish the fight. But I think this is a good fight for Ismagulov to introduce himself to UFC fans. He was supposed to get a flashy name in Joe Duffy, but he'll have a chance to show his skills here against a showman. He needs to take Gorge's down, get a dominant position, and get a finish win. And if he can get Gorge's down in round 1 to get dominant position and pound him out, he can make a statement that he's ready for the bigger names at 155 immediately in the UFC. So I'm going to go with Damir Ismagulov to get a first round finish there. And up next on this card, we have Keita Nakamura fighting against Salim Touhari. And I have a pretty good read on this fight. I kind of believe that one person has a pretty sizable advantage over the other. But Salim Touhari, he's trying to earn his first UFC victory in his second fight. He's training again at ATT for this camp. And he's a fighter who should be showing improvements. Keitaro, he's had a fantastic career, but he seems to be slowing down a bit. He was dominated by Tony Martin in a one-sided decision. But Tony Martin has looked amazing since he moved to 170, so that's not a terrible loss. Touhari looks to be an explosive striker. He has one-punch knockout power. He has a long stance. He likes to move on the outside, stick and move. He likes to jab to the body, jab to the head. He uses a lot of lateral movement. He'll walk his opponent into check left hooks. He'll throw counter uppercuts backing up also. He has good inside leg kicks. He'll load up on hard body kicks. He'll even go to the head as well, but they come slow. His movement is a bit choppy, and he isn't the most athletic fighter. He isn't extremely fast with his hand speed. He can be countered when fighters get aggressive. He also ducks his head after throwing left hooks. It makes him susceptible to uppercuts. He also can get backed up with punching combinations. He doesn't have great defense, in my opinion. And Salim hasn't been very active recently in his career. He's fought 2 times in the last 3 years. He took another year off, layoff in between this fight and his last one. He does seem to have good power. I've seen him one-punch KO fighters, and he has 5 KO TKOs. He's only been finished 1 time himself via strikes. He's not a grappler. He did improve a lot, in my opinion, his takedown defense in his last fight. He still has a long stance. Fighters are able to snatch single legs against him, but he did a better job getting his back to the fence where he's able to defend the single against Warley Alves. And after I've seen him take it down easily in previous fights, so he's definitely is improving that a lot at ATT. Against the cage, he has good takedown defense, but he can be controlled there. He'll rarely go for any grappling position himself, but if he gets hurt, he'll close the distance, try to clinch opponents up against the cage where he'll throw knees and short punches. But Touhari cannot let Keitaro get him against the cage because I see Keitaro chain wrestling being a huge factor in those positions. And off his back, he seems to not have much at all. He won't attack with submissions. He just tries to relax and control posture of his opponent until the ref stands them back up. He does have solid cardio, and he had a solid performance in his UFC debut on short notice against Warley Alves. And he has 3 submissions himself. On top, he'll go for arm triangles, rear naked chokes. He's won 7 of his 9 fights via finish, and he needs to stick and move, not get backed up past the 2 black lines. If he could stay in the center, walk Keitaro down, land his jabs to the body, in the head, force Keitaro to open up, and then land a check left hook or right hand, try to knock him out. And I think that's probably his best path to victory. And for Nakamura, has been a fighter that I've really liked for years. He's a never-say-die competitor. He's always dangerous in the octagon. He can be losing for 2.5 rounds, still come back to earn the victory, such as versus Li Jingliang. He's 34. He's lost 2 or 3 fights. So with a loss here, he may be cut from the company. So this is a big fight for Nakamura. But Nakamura is an awesome grappler, but he's rounded out his game over the years. He's a very composed striker, but not very dynamic or dangerous. He'll throw a nice jab, straight left hand. He has a good check left hook. He has a strong body kick as well, and that's probably his most dangerous technique on the feet. He hurt Alex Morono several times with the body kick. He very rarely gets Wilder out of position on the feet. He likes to stay at his range, measure fighters, and try to figure out when he can close the distance and get a takedown. And he is hittable, but he has a good chin. He'll eat shots, continue to press forward. He's only been finished 1 time by TKO in his entire 42-fight career. He isn't much of a knockout threat. He only has 6 KO TKOs in his career. But he's an excellent grappler, very opportunistic submission artist. He has very well-timed double legs. He'll convert into a body lock if he can't finish. He does a great job staying sticky, glued to his opponents. Once he can get a hold of them, and he's very good at eventually finishing the takedown. He's a superb back taker. He can take the back standing or on the ground. He does a great job sneaking his hooks in quickly, excellent control in that position. 12 rear naked chokes in his career. They're definitely his go-to submission. He seems to have a knack for coming from behind submissions. He can get dominated for the duration of the fight, pull it out in the third round. He has good cardio. He's long time veteran of the sport as well, and he has much more experience than Tuhari. Nakamura should look to get takedowns in this fight. If he can take the back of Tuhari, I think he'll likely finish the fight. And if he can get takedowns, I'm not sure Salim can get up. And I'm going to go with Keitaro Nakamura here pretty confidently. I don't see Salim being able to stop the takedowns of Keitaro over 3 rounds. And the only way I see him winning would be via KO. And Keitaro should easily be able to take down Tuhari, where he should have a major advantage. And unless Keitaro is severely diminished, I see him handling Tuhari here. And I see him getting a second round submission. So I'm going to go with Keita Nakamura via second round submission in this fight. And up next, we have another fight with Elias Garcia against Kai Kara-France. And Kai Kara-France is a guy that fought on the Tough Show, left the UFC, had to go get some more experience after not winning on the show, and came back, and now he's back in the UFC. He's going to be making his debut. He had a very close fight with Alejandro Pantoja on Tough, which, I thought that could have gone either way, and didn't go to a third round. They gave it 2-0 to Pantoja, but I thought it was very close. And he's going to be taking on Elias Garcia. He's taking this fight on short notice after he lost his UFC debut earlier this year. And he's the cousin of Anthony and Sergio Pettis. But France is another Australian fighter out of City Kickboxing, a camp which has taken the UFC by storm this year. And he's a nasty Muay Thai striker. He has a lot of pure Muay Thai fights. He's very technical. He likes to control the center of the cage with the high guard, walk opponents down. He has great footwork. He does a good job sliding into range to land his punches. He does a great job of sidestepping, using misdirection to find openings for his punch combinations as well. He has a great jab to the body, both to the head and to the body. And he likes to draw out shots from his opponent so he can slip in return. He has a nasty overhand right, left hook combination. He'll pepper his opponents, keeping heavy volume. He'll double and triple up on the jab before throwing a hard uppercut, left or right hook. He's diligent attacking the body. He'll attack with hard hooks. He likes to throw a fadeaway check left hook and he's angling off. And he's good at slipping overhand rights in the pocket. And or slipping and then landing overhand right in the pocket. He has nice leg kicks. He'll throw high kicks as well at the end of his combinations. He has 10 KO TKOs. He's a very good, dangerous striker in space. He's only been KO'd 2 times himself, but they were his second and third fights in his career, and he hasn't been finished with strikes since then. He is an offensive grappler. He uses wrestling in reverse most of the time to keep the fight on the feet. He's very slippery and explosive. When fighters try to take him down, he'll bounce right back up. Does a great job getting his back to the cage where fighters attempt takedowns. He's able to stuff most takedowns. He has a great sprawl on double legs. He does a great job getting double underhooks, pushing off when fighters try to clinch him up. His footwork makes it hard to jam against the cage because he does a great job using lateral movement, staying in the center. And I wasn't able to find any fights where he shot a takedown himself or engaged in a clinch. But he had a very competitive fight with Pantoja, in which he was able to stuff almost all of his takedown attempts. And I wasn't able to find any fights of him working off his back or from top position on the ground. But he does have 2 rear naked chokes. And his only 2 he has been rear naked choke twice as well in MMA. But he has 3 submissions in his career. And he's coming off a rear naked choke victory. So he's probably going to feel better about his grappling coming into this fight. But he's going to be hyped up making his UFC debut. He's fighting at home. And I see him trying to come out quickly. This should be a fun striking match for a while. And Garcia is more wild and dynamic with this style, while France is more technical. And France just needs to find his range, get in a flow state with the striking game. But if he can make Garcia fight in boxing range for extended periods of time, I think he's cleaner technique and punching technique will really come out and show that he has the cleaner combinations. And I think he'll give Garcia a lot of trouble. But Garcia, like I said, he's a cousin of the Pettis brothers. He's a dynamic striker. He likes to use flashy techniques. He's creative with the strikes. He's fighting for the first time out of the country. He's much less experienced in Kara-France as well, so that's something to look into. And he likes to stay at kicking range. He's very open on the feet. He throws leg kicks, oblique kicks to the knees. He throws front kicks to the body, to the head. He'll also throw nice round and question mark kicks to the head. His hands are still developing, but he has a nice one too. He'll throw a counter right hook in the pocket. He throws a lot of unset up kicks. Sometimes the fighters can jam him, land counter punches. And I've seen Garcia drop by low-level fighters on the regional scene as they counter kicks with straight punches. When fighters get in the pocket, force him to box, he'll get a little bit wild. He'll throw looping shots. He's very easy to hit. He doesn't have huge power. He's just 2 KO TKOs in his career. Francis could have a big advantage on the feet here, in my opinion. Garcia has to be careful on the feet. He's never been finished with strikes in his career, but he's coming off the first loss of his career via submission, and we'll have to see how he bounces back. His jiu-jitsu is really the most dynamic part of his game. He's dangerous with submissions from top or bottom position. He'll even jump for flying triangles, guillotine. He has a ton of faith in his BJJ. He has no problem pulling guard, ending up on his back, and he has good balance. He'll defend single legs well by jumping on one leg. He's pretty hard to take down in space. When De La Rosa put him against a cage, he was able to get double underhooks, body lock him pretty easily. And Garcia does have fast hips. He's dangerous with triangles and arm bars. I've seen him get explosive double legs, move quickly in a dominant position, earn a grounded pound finish. But that was against a low-level fighter. He doesn't seem to have much of a wrestling background, and I would be surprised if he took France down. He needs to try to either land a flashy kick, hurt France, or somehow get it to the ground, even if he's on his back. If he can get France to play on the ground with him, I see that as his greatest chance of victory. He has 3 submissions. He's lost via rear naked choke in his last fight, which was his only submission loss of his career. But I see Garcia winning to strike this fight, and once he gets tagged a couple times, he'll try to turn it into a wrestler, and I see France landing the right hand all day. If this fight stays standing all 3 rounds, I think France could KO him. I don't think Garcia will be able to get this fight to the ground. I just see France picking him off early, landing big counter punches off of Garcia's kicks, and I think he'll eventually hurt and finish Garcia at around 2 or 3. So I'm going to go with Kai Kara France to get the win in that fight. And up next, you have Mizuta Hirota against Christian Giagos. And, this is an interesting fight. Christian Giagos has yet to get a win in the UFC, and Hirota's definitely looked like he's been really on the tail end of his career. Giagos is fighting his second fight in his second stint with the UFC. And he has a winnable matchup here against Hirota. He's a well-rounded fighter. He's mostly a boxer wrestler, but he has nice kicks as well. He has a good jab, check left hook, nice straight right hand. And when he lands clean, he can hurt opponents. He'll throw counter overhand rights. When fighters try to close the distance, he has a nice front kick to the body and to the head. He likes to close the distance with straight punch combinations and shoot takedowns in the pocket. And he doesn't have great head movement. He can just throw wild hooks. He will stand flat-footed in the pocket. He's very hittable. He is a tough guy. He enjoys going to war. He has a strong chin. He's only been finished 1 time via strikes against the hard-hitting Josh Emmett. And he has 7 KO TKOs himself, so he definitely likes to scrap. He likes to mix it up. He does a good job setting up his punches setting up his takedowns with punches. He likes to close the distance with aggressive blitz attacks and then duck under, grab double legs. He has a decent body lock, nice knees in a clinch, and on top he isn't that great, but he will control opponents, land short punches. He'll posture up, throw elbows, and he will look to get the back and get the rear naked choke. He can't be taken down himself, and when he gets taken down, he tends to give his back. He's been submitted quite a few times. He's been submitted 4 times in his career, and has 2 submission wins himself. He tends to slow down a bit as the fight goes on. He's most likely going to be the quicker, cleaner striker in this matchup. If you can keep it at range and not let Hirota back him up, I think he has a better chance to win. He should look to use his movement, straight right hand, check left hook, and just piece Hirota up from the outside. And Hirota, he hasn't looked good recently. He's 37 years old. He's lost back-to-back fights. He looked very bad in losing to Ross Pearson. He's also a very weathered fighter. And if Hirota loses here, I don't see his UFC career continuing. I think he'll be cut. But he's a career-long 145er, but with older age, the cut is too hard. He'll be the smaller man here at 155, but this is Hirota's second straight fight in Australia, so he'll probably be the more acclimated guy. Hirota is a tough grinder. He has a good jab. He'll throw leg kicks. He'll throw hard counter right hooks. He likes to crush distance with a straight left hand or a straight left, right straight combination. And he does a decent job feinting, keep enough distance to inhibit his opponents to not be hit. He can also be over-aggressive, get countered as he closes the distance, and he's also flat-footed. So if fighters throw multi-strike combinations, he's definitely there to be hit. He's not a power striker. A lot of his striking is just to close the distance, get in the clinch. He can be hit clean, and he's taken a lot of punishment lately, but he has a great chin. He's never been finished via strikes. He does have 10 KO TKOs, but none since 2014. He's never had a UFC finish. And he's a good grappler. He's super strong when he gets a hold of fighters. He's excellent at ducking under punches, timing body lock clinches, where he's very heavy on top. He works methodically. He doesn't unload with big ground and pound until he really feels he has a strong control. He does a good job slowly working his way to mount, where he'll land nice elbows, short punches. He isn't a very active seeker of the submission. He's going to be the smaller fighter in this matchup. He has 0 submissions in his career, and he's only been submitted 1 time. Hirota's best path to victory here is to make this a dogfight. He needs to close the distance, throw hands, throw hard punches, look for takedowns, and I don't think he's extremely dangerous. But getting on top, grinding Giagos out is the smartest path to victory on the ground. And I think Giagos should get it done here. He's the younger fighter. He should be the hungrier fighter. He's been cut from the company before, and I'm sure he doesn't want that to happen again. So really needs a win here. And he's going to be the much cleaner, quicker striker. He just needs to keep his distance, beat up Crute from the outside. I believe Giagos will be ready to deny the entries on the body locker Crute and make this a stand-up fight. And I think Giagos will be able to clearly outstrike Crute over 3 rounds, if not finish him. So my pick is definitely going to be Christos Giagos via decision. And up next we have Wilson Hayes fighting against Ben Wynn. And, this is a very interesting fight. This is a battle of fighters who badly need a win. Wilson Hayes has lost 3 consecutive fights after fighting Demetrius Johnson for the title. And Ben Wynn, he's coming off a bad performance in which he was kind of dominated by Jussier Formiga a little bit. But Ben Wynn, he's a fun fighter to watch. He's one of the best flyweight finishers in the UFC. He's a dangerous striker. He has good knockout power. He's extremely aggressive. He'll go hard from the opening bell. He's light on his feet. He likes to close the distance with combinations, usually starting or ending with a kick. He has a nasty jab. He covers a lot of range with it. He has a good overhand right, straight left hand combination, and he will end it with leg kicks, head kicks. Does a great job of cutting off the cage, controlling the center. He has nice front and round kicks to the body, and he does a good job staying on his range, sliding in and out, using good head movement to slip and return punches. If he can get fighters going backwards, he does a great job coming forward with straight punching combinations, swarming his opponents. He'll dig to the body when he's going for the finish. He'll try to get fighters to drop their hands and then go up top. He has strong step and uppercut as well, and he has good power in his straight right hand, big power in his high kick. His speed on the feet is very evident. He's going to be the quicker fighter in this matchup as well. He is hittable because he's very aggressive, and he's also sometimes gets too over-aggressive and comes in square, making it easy to get it on his legs. He definitely needs to be more patient here against Hayes, not blitz in, because Wilson can duck under and get a double leg. He has 9 KO TKOs, but his chin is questionable as well, and he's been finished 5 times by strikes. But he's a competent submission grappler. He isn't a wrestler. He'll rarely shoot takedowns, but he has strong knees in the clinch. He'll land nice shots off the break. He has nice head position, short punches and elbows and knees to the body and the head in the clinch. He does a good job getting an underhook, trapping the other wrist to create opening for shots. And he has only 1 takedown in 6 UFC fights, and no way we see him attempt one here in my opinion. His takedown defense has been questionable over the years, but it looked improved for his fight with Formiga. He did a good job of avoiding a few double legs. He was able to stand up from bottom a couple times. He does a good job exploding, creating a scramble to return to his feet. He is a good scrambler. He does a good job rolling through, taking the back, ending up in top position. He's able to reverse a takedown attempt with Tim Elliott, take the back, quickly submit him in round 1. If fighters are able to scramble with the win, though, he will give up dominant positions and take a beating. He got smashed by Luis Smoke on the ground. He was submitted by Formiga. He starts quickly. He has 3 first-round finishes in the UFC, and he has 5 career submissions. He's only been submitted 1 time in his career. He needs to stay off his back in this match because Wilson have a major advantage there. Wynn needs to control distance, keep this fight on the feet, and he's going to be the cleaner striker. If he has a good game plan here, he could easily win the fight. He needs to avoid getting over-aggressive, closing the distance with his hip square because he definitely will be taken down if he does that. Wilson Hayes is a longtime veteran in MMA. He's 33 years old. He's lost 3 in a row, so he may be near the end. He still looked pretty good in his last fight. He has a lot left in the tank, in my opinion. And Hayes has done a good job improving his striking game over the years, but he's still a bit clunky. He's a lot lighter on his feet. He has improved his footwork. He has a heavy right hook with nice power. He uses a lot of head movement, comes in with hooks. He'll throw body kicks, inside leg kicks, and they're powerful. He's heavy on his lead leg, and he can be leg kicked himself. He will try to catch you with winged wild left hooks. His whole game is to punch his way into the body lock, get the takedown. And fighters with good ladder movement, they're able to move around and avoid his power shots and pick him off as he closes distance. He's a very tough guy with great cardio. He's always walking down his opponents. He is the knockout striker. He's never gotten a knockout in his career. But he has an okay chin. He's been finished 3 times. But he's only been finished 1 time by strikes at 125 by the current champion, Henry Cejudo. And he's a fantastic wrestler. He's a powerhouse for 125 pounds. He has nasty double leg entries. When he gets in the clinch, he'll take fighters for a ride. He's strong in the clinch, and he does a good job controlling fighters against the cage there as well. He'll go for single legs in that position. He has nice body locks. He's a fantastic wrestler. I mean, he's great in the scrambles. He'll take the back. He'll get up off his back. He'll get into a double leg, get on top. He's very heavy on top, and his pressure jiu-jitsu game is just very good. He has great passing abilities. He does a great job of quickly getting to dominant positions where he gets submissions. He has a strong mount. He'll land nice ground and pound until fighters give the back. He has a good rear naked choke. He has 5 rear naked chokes in his career. He's also very good at getting arm triangles, in which he has 4 arm triangles. He has good takedown defense. If fighters get him down, he's hard to hold down. He has 9 career submissions. He's only been submitted by Demetrius Johnson. Hasty needs to close the distance, get inside, get takedowns. I see double legs being effective and potentially slowing Wynn's forward pressure. If Wilson could get Wynn backing up and finish a takedown, he's an opportunity on the ground to do big damage or finish the fight. And I'm going to go with the veteran here. I'm going to go with Wilson Haste. He needs a win. With the loss here, it'll be 4 consecutive losses and potentially the end of the flyweight division. You know, a loss will almost certainly mark the end of his UFC tenure. And I see Wilson being able to time a double leg early, do damage on the ground. If not, find the back, get a rear naked choke. If Wynn can stop the takedowns early, put some shots on Wilson, he may be able to control the fight. I just think Hayes will push hard for takedowns, eventually find one. We'll be able to exploit Wynn on the ground, find a submission. So I'm going to go with Wilson Hayes via second round rear naked choke in that fight. And up next, you have Alexei Kunchenko fight against Yushin Okabe. And this is a bit of an interesting fight. You know, Alexei Kunchenko made his UFC debut with much fanfare, but he had a bit of a lackluster performance against Thiago Alves. He'll be looking to regain that momentum with a better performance against a longtime veteran here in Yushin Okabe. He is 19-0, and a record like that could easily be marketed. So if Kunchenko can put together some better showings, definitely could get a quick rise in the UFC. And he's a Russian hand-to-hand combat champion, as well as a former M1 global champion. He's very technical. He's very methodical. He walks forward behind a high guard. He has very good defense, head movement. He does a good job reading his opponents' movements, picking smart shots to return with. He has a nice jab, good check, left hook, right hand. He's very quick with his hand combinations. He'll land hard hooks in the pocket while avoiding his opponent's shots. He does a great job closing distance, throwing hook combinations. And when you start to raise your guard, he'll come up with the middle with hard uppercuts. He's a nice counter straight right hand. He'll also dig to the body with left hooks. He has nasty kicks, great leg kicks, body kicks, head kicks. And then he'll throw it with very little wind-up. He'll throw nice spinning heel kicks to the body and to the head. His footwork is very nice. He does a great job always stalking his opponents to the cage, cutting them off. And when they try to return to the center, he always keeps them where he has them. And he doesn't throw much combination. He just does a lot of one-shot attacks. When I rewatched this fight with Thiago Alves, I appreciated the performance a bit more. You know, Kunchenko barely got hit. I thought he clearly won with his forward pressure and volume. He has 13 KO TKOs in his career. He's never lost himself, so obviously he's never been finished. And he's a strong grappler, but he usually prefers to strike. He has nasty knees to the body and to the head, multiple knee knockouts in the clinch. He's very physically strong, and he does a good job getting takedowns with double legs, body locks. He's a very brutal ground and pound. He's long. He can stand up in his opponent's guard, rain down straight punches until they're unconscious. And he has good top control. He'll throw the legs to the side, go to side control, look for the mount, and land big ground and pound. His methodical pace allows him to keep the same pace all fight and systematically break down his opponents before knocking them out. He isn't much of a submission threat with only one career submission. And the UFC is obviously trying to propel him to the top 15 here with the matchup against another fading legend, Yushin Okabe. First, he got Alves. And Kunchenko's just going to need to stay off his back, and he should have the advantage everywhere else. He'll be the more technical striker, and if he can keep it on the feet over 3 rounds, I think he has a good chance of taking Okabe out. But Okabe's a humongous welterweight. He used to be one of the biggest middleweights in the UFC, and he really used that size to his advantage in his last fight, which we saw when he dominated Diego Lima. Took him down at will. He flashed a bit of the old Okabe. He's 1-1 since returning to the UFC, but I don't hold the OSB fight against him. You know, it's short notice at 205 pounds. Okabe's now fighting at 170. And Okabe's definitely not the striker he once was. He's stiffer with his movements. He's been finished a few times now. He hasn't been KO TKO'd since 2014. He started to use a much more risk-averse style. He uses timing on the feet now. He'll throw a jab, straight right hand. He likes to time his straight right hand as he closes the distance, get in the clinch. And all his striking is really to set up his grappling. He likes to use a straight right hand, left uppercut combination. He does a good job of timing and accuracy on his right hand. He has very hard body kicks, but his chin is weak. If he gets in longer combinations in the pocket, he's in danger of being clipped. And Okabe just needs to use his striking to close the distance in this fight. Kunchenko's too clean of a counter puncher, and Okabe cannot strike with him, in my opinion. He has 12 KO TKOs. He's definitely dangerous if he can lay it clean, but he's been KO'd 5 times himself, and he definitely needs to grapple in this fight. He's still a fantastic grappler. He showed that in a dominating performance in his last match against Diego Lima. He's always had problems with pressure grapplers, and this will be a true test to see where Okabe, or pressure strikers, and this will be a true test to see where Okabe is at. He has great timing on his double legs. He's very strong in the clinch. He can get double legged himself, and if he can't get the double leg though, he'll come back up into a body lock. He's a very sticky grappler. He does a great job of circling to the back of the clinch and dragging his opponents to the ground, taking the back. He likes to stay heavy in his opponent's guards. He'll shove his opponent's head to the cage. He'll land short ground and pound punches and elbows. He likes to try to turk his opponent's legs to the guard, then try to move to the mount He'll look for arm triangles. He has strong ground and pound from half guard as well. His takedown defense is good, but he can be taken down. He was taken down multiple times by Paul Bradley. He has good cardio, and he can still go for all 3 rounds. He's not a big submission threat. He just has 3 submissions in his illustrious career. He's only been submitted 1 time by Von Fluchok to OSP. And Okabe's going to need to close the distance, get this fight to the ground. He can't go backwards in this fight. He needs to go forward, push Kunchenko backwards. And if he lets Kunchenko have space, time to get his rhythm striking game going, it'll be a long night for Okabe. Okabe needs to get it on a double leg, get Kunchenko to the cage, grind him out for 3 rounds, or until he can finish a fight. And I'm going to go with Alexei Kunchenko. Kunchenko is a great grappler also. I see him being ready to defend the takedown to Okabe. I see Kunchenko being the one controlling the center, slowly walking and stalking Okabe down. And I think he'll be able to force Okabe to open up and take chances with the striking to get takedowns. And when he does that, I see Kunchenko counter with a straight right hand or left hook, knocking Okabe out in round 2. So I'm going to go with Alexei Kunchenko to get the finish victory over the legend, Yushin Okabe. And up next is Sadiq Yusuff, and he's going to be fighting against Saman Mokhtarian. And, for Sadiq Yusuff, we watched him fight on the Dana White Contender Series, and I actually picked him as a big underdog to defeat another big prospect in Mike Davis, and he won the fight. And Saman Mokhtarian, he's the guy that's getting a chance to fight off of a experience on Tough, where he lost, but he had a pretty competitive fight. And his brother Ashkan Mokhtarian was actually supposed to be on this card as well to fight Kai Kara France. But he ended up having to pull out due to an injury. So Suman's still on the card. He's getting a chance to debut where he trains in Australia. And he has a very stiff test here against Sadiq Yusuff. Yusuff is an explosive fighter. He's coming off a big upset win, like I said. But Suman does seem to be better than his brother, in my opinion. He's a dangerous fighter. He's 8-0 with 7 finishes. He's very aggressive. He closes distance with very heavy hooks. He has a nice left hook, a very powerful right hook. He keeps a very wide stance. He's susceptible to being leg kicked, but he'll throw leg kicks and high kicks of his own. He's more of a puncher. He likes to talk shit and try to get in fighters' heads. He isn't very technical on the feet, but he mostly uses his hooks to close distance and grapple. He does have a powerful straight right hand. His aggression and power does make him dangerous on the feet. He has 1 KO, TKO, but he does drop fighters and submit him, but he's never been finished. He lost his last match by decision, but it was an exhibition. But he will still have to bounce back here from a loss. And Mokhtarian is a tricky grappler. He can lock up submissions from a variety of positions. He likes to use his strikes across the distance in the clinch where he'll look for body locks. He also will try to get a hold of his neck and jump for guillotines or get a hold of his opponent's necks. And he'll duck under, go for double legs. He can control fighters against the cage, land knees, short elbows. He also can get controlled against the cage himself. He has 7 submissions, and I have seen him get some high-level subs, such as a twister. He isn't a great wrestler. I believe he will struggle to take down Yusuff. His best chance to win is pressure forward, not give Yusuff any space, try to get as many grappling exchanges as possible, and try to find a submission. And for Yusuff, he's a beast, man. He's extremely athletic, very explosive. He's one of those guys that their athleticism just jumps off the screen. And his hand speed is something else. He'll chain straight punches. He'll dig to the body as well. He's very good at controlling the center. A lot of his opponents get backed up behind the warning track where his speed, explosiveness, and power seems to really shock people early and they get a defensive shell, start to walk backwards. He has a good jab to the body. His straight right hand is nasty. His footwork is very good. He cuts fighters off. He gets them backed up against the cage. He hadn't shown many kicks in previous fights, but then his last fight against Mike Davis, he showed a nasty low leg kick, which I could see him utilizing in this fight as well. He's a nice snap kick to the face, nice round kick to the head. His speed is truly what makes him potentially a special fighter. The ability to close distance, land punches, and just his pure hand speed is just absurd. He's been KO'd 1 time, but it was in a bit of a freak way. He got stunned by the mat and then finished with ground and pound. He has good power. He's finished 4 of his 7 wins by KO, TKO. He's still relatively young in his career with just 8 total fights. He likes to get fighters against the fence, control them there. He'll hold fighters against the cage, land knees, big time, and take the round. He's good at getting doubles. He can keep top position. He'll continue to get the front headlock position, drag you down if you try to get up. He has great get-ups. He's extremely explosive, so I imagine he's extremely hard to hold down. He has good cardio. He's very calm, composed in the cage. He has no submissions. He's never been submitted himself. And Yusuff is going to have a massive technique advantage on the feet. He should have walked down Mokhtarian and be aggressive with his hand combinations. And I think Mokhtarian will try to take it and hold Yusuff down early. If he can't hold him down, he'll probably gas out. And Yusuff needs to put Mokhtarian away here. They're going to give him a matchup to look good. I think he'll oblige. I see him getting a vicious knockout earlier in the fight. And I see him closing distance, dropping him with straight punches, finishing with ground and pound. So I'm going to go with Sadiq Yusuff via first round KO TKO. And up next, we have Jim Crute fighting against Paul Craig. And this seems like another fight where they're trying to set up Jim Crute, the local Australian, to get a victory here. And he's making his UFC debut. He had a big left hook knockout in the Dana White Contender Series. He's going to be fighting Paul Craig, who's coming off a comeback of the year candidate. He had a Hail Mary submission with less than 10 seconds left on the clock after getting dominated for basically the entire fight against Magomed Ankalaev. And Jim Crute, he's going to be fighting his home country. I'm sure he's going to come out quickly. And he's trained by Sam LaGreco. He's a great kickboxer. And he's growing in his striking game. He's light on his feet. He's quick in and out for a 205er. He's a nice jab, good overhand right. He likes to bounce around on the outside that exploded with shots. He's good at throwing a combination. He likes to finish his boxing combinations with leg kicks. He does a great job attacking the body. He can slip punches and counter with hooks. He has hard body kicks, nice head kicks as well. He can be hit with shots, but he has a strong chin. He'll take a shot to give his own. He's still developing as a striker. His grappling is the best part of his game. He's undefeated, though. He has solid power with 3 KOs. And he's a very strong wrestler with good double leg. He has a quick passes. He does a great job getting to side control, then full mount. He gets very high on the mount. He'll land heavy ground and pound punches and elbows. Great job staying heavy in mount, not letting fighters explode up. He can't get too high on the mount and roll at times, but he will attack with leg locks. He does a good job winning scrambles, ending up back on top. He has nice arm triangles from top position. I find it hard to imagine Paul Craig taking him down because he's a big, powerful, explosive fighter. He has 2 submissions and he's never been finished in his career. He does have good stamina, but he gets tired and forced to strike for the entire fight. And Crute should be better everywhere in this fight, but the path to least resistance, in my opinion, is keep it on the feet and knock Craig out. Craig is a bit tricky on the ground, and I think that's one of the few ways that he has to win. Paul Craig is looking to follow up one of the biggest wins of his career, try to prove it wasn't a fluke, and he isn't a great striker. He likes to throw out a jab, try to straight a log. He does have a long reach. He likes to throw rounded front kicks to the body. He'll also throw nice spinning kicks to the body and to the head. He'll throw a 1-2, but his hands aren't great. He likes to counter and go second, but if fighters pressure close the distance on him, he struggles. He seems to fall in love with one shot. Attacks get super predictable. Like he'll throw a switch high kick over and over. If you're good at moving backwards and throw overhands to counter his jab, he has little answer and he'll crumble. He doesn't react well to shots. He's been finished in 2 of his last 3 fights. And he took a lot of punishment against Ankalaev as well. He doesn't ever have great power. He only has 1 KO, TKO in his career. And Paul Craig is a dangerous submission artist with 7 submissions and 8 wins. He has good dirty boxing. He'll attack with hard uppercuts, solid knees. He's open to be hit at close range, and I think Crute would have the advantage of the dirty boxing range. And Craig has pretty good single and double legs. He showed improved wrestling against Ankalaev. He doesn't have incredible top control. Fighters are able to stand up from under him, but he will attack with front chokes, land short punches and elbows. Off his back, he is dangerous. If you're in his guard, he has a nasty triangle armbar. And he will land hard elbows in his guard. And beat fighters up off his back. And if you pass his guard, fighters are able to hold him down and beat him up. And he does do a good job staying calm and surviving, but he just needs one moment to lock up a submission. He's very opportunistic. His career isn't bad. His cardio isn't bad. He's able to go hard for 3 rounds. And Craig needs to get this fight to the ground, get on top, do damage, or fight a submission. On the feet, I see Craig being outgunned and most likely knocked out. Crute is the quicker fighter with more explosive power. He needs to walk Craig down, try to draw his attacks, explode, and close the distance. And just close the show with a big shot. I think he'll land several clean punches, brutal leg kicks on Craig, and I think Craig will hang in as long as he can because he's a tough guy. But I think Craig may eventually have success early, may even get a potential takedown. But I see Crute eventually catching him with a hard shot, dropping him, and then taking him out. So I'm going to go with Jim Crute to get the big time victory there, probably the biggest victory of his career. And so I'm going to go with Jim Crute in that one. And up next, we have a fight that I'm really looking forward to, and I really have a pretty confident read in with Jake Matthews against Tony Martin. And they're both 2 former 155ers who have a career resurgence here at 170 pounds. Jake Matthews is 3-0 since moving up to 170, with 1 win more dominant than the next. And Tony Martin is 2-0 with a nasty head kick knockout in his last match. And Jake Matthews is a young kid. He's improving every time we see him. His striking is still not great to me. He likes to stay light on his feet, bounce around to the outside, close the distance with just one-shot attacks. He's a good straight right hand, an overhand right. He does a good job of throwing a short right hook. He can kill fighters on the temple with it. He can rock them. He will throw a straight or right hook, and if he falls short with it, he'll throw the overhand left, try to land that. He will throw occasional leg kicks, but he very rarely throws kicks. He is athletic and he's explosive, and at least makes him dangerous on the feet. But he doesn't set up his strikes much with feints or fakes. And fighters who are patient will be able to measure him land as he closes the distance, in my opinion. And fighters aggressively close the distance on him. He has a problem backing up against the cage, being flat-footed. He likes to stay in the pocket, try to use head move to slip and return punches. And against an accurate striker like Tony Martin, I don't think that's a great idea. And he has shown that he can break in previous fights, and he seems to like being the hammer but not the nail. And he isn't a big power striker. He just has 4 KO TKOs in his career. He's only been finished 1 time in his career, and he still has a strong chin. He's a strong wrestler, and that's what I see him trying to implement here. He's very strong in the clinch. He has very hard punches and knees to the body while looking for nice trips. He has strong double legs. He does a good job grabbing a single leg, coming back up to the body, locked up in his opponent. On top, he does a great job guard passing. His pass from half guard to mount is awesome, and he stays very heavy in half guard. He'll rain down heavy ground and pound. He also do that from the mount. He does a good job taking the back, and he has a good rear naked choke. He had a quick submission in his last match. He has a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He has 7 submissions. He's only been submitted once himself. And Tony Martin is a beast. He's a fighter I've long pinpointed as a future contender earlier at 155 pounds. So if you've been watching my videos, you've known that I've been on the Tony Martin train for quite a while now. And he looks to be hitting his stride. You know, he's a long fighter, and he's always measuring his opponents on the feet. He likes to stay at his distance, throw nice jabs, straight right hands down the pipe. His right hand is just very accurate, and he can catch fighters to close the distance repeatedly. He has a nasty head kick. He does a great job of noticing which side his opponents are slipping his right hand, following with the head kick. He likes to crash distance with uppercuts, and when fighters try to crash a distance, he'll throw counter uppercuts as well to make them hesitant to shoot and make them hesitant to come in again. He knocked Ryan LaFleur out with a nasty head kick, and it's a very dangerous technique. His distance control is awesome. He's always reading his opponent, staying in his own range. He's a very measured fighter, and he'll rarely get out of position or even overextend himself. He has strong inside and outside leg kicks. He stays busy with those as well. He likes to lead out of the way as shots return with powerful 1-2s. And his sharpness just makes opponents go into a defensive shell. And I feel like he's going to have a major striking advantage here against Jake Matthews. Matthews doesn't set up his blitz attacks, and he needs to disguise when he's closing the distance much better in this fight. Martin only has 1 career KO, but he's steadily been improving his striking. He definitely is a dangerous striker now. He has great chin. He has a lot of confidence in it, and he's never been finished by strikes. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's improving his wrestling defense. He has great distance control on the feet. Does a good job of not letting fighters get inside on him where they can get on his legs or clinch him up. He showed great clinch technique in his last win. He dug strong double underhooks. He pushed the much bigger LaFleur to the cage and then disengaged. And he has been susceptible to grind down in the past, but I think that he was diminished at 155 pounds. He's much harder to take down at 170, it seems. He has great takedown defense against the cage. He gets very wide with the stance. When fighters attempt doubles, he'll attack with the Kimura lock. He has nice Kimura sweeps off his back. He also finished Fabricio Camois with the Kimura. And when Martin gets on top, he's very strong. He has good ground and pound. He likes to stay heavy, pressure past it, can take the back, get the rear naked choke. He has great back takes, and when he gets in top position, he's hard to get up from under on. Ryan LaFleur was not able to stand up from under him. He will attack with darces and front chokes, and when opponents try to stand up, when opponents try to stand up, that's when he'll attack with those chokes. And if he gets on top of Matthews, he has a good chance of submitting him, in my opinion. Matthews has been submitted twice in the UFC, and he has 8 submissions himself. Or Martin has been submitted twice in the UFC, and has 8 submissions himself. He's coming off his first knockout win, and he truly feels he's the best fighter in the world, you know, one of them at least. And a win for either guy here jumps him into the top 15 conversation. So this is a must-win for Tony Martin at this point in his career. Martin's going to be the better striker, in my opinion. He needs to keep the same game plan he's been using in his last 2 fights. Use good lateral movement, try to land a straight right hand, head kick, time uppercuts, try to keep the distance and strike with Matthews. And if he can defend takedowns and reverse, get on top of Matthews, I feel like he also has a chance at a submission. And I feel Tony Martin is better everywhere in this fight. I feel Martin is coming into his own. He's going to have a huge 2019. Martin's going to have a dominant performance here. I see him landing clean on Matthews in round 1 a few times as he closes the distance. And I think Matthews will get a defensive shell, really start to shoot a lot of takedowns, become a panic wrestler. And if Martin can stuff a few of those takedowns, I see Matthew panicking and Martin starting to pressure, eventually drop and submit Matthews or TKO him in round 2. So Martin is fighting for the first time out of the U.S., and fighters have had problems with jet lag before, but I just think Martin's very strong mentally, and that won't be an issue for him. So I think Tony Martin should get the job done. I think he should get a finish here. So I'm going to go with Anthony Rocco Martin to get the finish via second round submission in that fight. And up next we have Mauricio Shogun Hua. He's going to be taking on Tyson Pedro. And, this is kind of a sad matchup to me, in my opinion. You know, we saw how Shogun looked in his return fight against Anthony Smith. He just was not up to par with what he used to look like, and he got finished in about 15 seconds. And they're getting him another long fighter with good knockout power that could strike, and that can take it to the ground and can submit Shogun. So I just think this is a terrible matchup for Shogun. I think that they're really trying to just showcase Tyson Pedro here, who's a very nice long striker, does a good job throwing a lot of kicks, and I just think that he's going to be a little bit too much, too athletic for Hua. Shogun is going to have a major experience advantage over him, and Shogun is probably going to try to come out hot and really pressure him. We saw that against Ovid St. Preux, he got clipped with a shot and finished. He got put down and submitted, and he was dominating that fight, and maybe he's still not the greatest finisher, especially on the feet, but I think that I don't know, man. I just don't know how much Mauricio has left, man. I mean, his last win was in March of 2017, which was over a year ago. He has only fought once since then, and it was the knockout loss, pretty bad knockout loss, just in July to Anthony Smith. So I mean, he's only taken a short time off of that knockout loss, and I just think Pedro's gonna have a huge size advantage as well, a big reach advantage. And I just think he's going to be the cleaner, faster guy with his hands, with his feet. And I think he's going to be able to move. I think he's going to be able to catch Shogun as he comes in and just put him down, man. I mean, Shogun is a legend. He's a warrior. But I just think Tyson Pedro is way too much for him at this point in his career. So I'm going to go with Tyson Pedro via first-round knockout in that fight. And kind of sad to say that. But, yeah, I'm going to go with first-round knockout for Tyson Pedro. And next we have Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt is going to be fighting against Justin Willis in his last fight in the UFC. So, I mean, that's a big milestone fight here that we get to see, the final fight for Mark Hunt. He's going to be making his last walk to the octagon. He's going to do it in his home country. He's had a rocky relationship over recent years with the UFC. So, this is almost certainly his last fight in the organization. It's the last fight on his contract. And Justin Willis is getting a huge opportunity here. If he gets a win, he'll announce himself as a future contender in the division. Hunt is 44 years old. He's definitely slowing down. He was dominating his last match against Olynyk. He got clipped with a short shot that would have never hurt him in the past. And it seemed like it hurt him and it changed the tide of the fight. And I'm sure Hunt will be motivated to end his UFC career on a win. And Mark Hunt has a nice jab. It makes people weary to go in for a takedown, as well as his patented uppercut. He has a nasty counter left hook, and that's his best punch for sure. He has huge KO power. He can knock people out with one shot. He walks forward. He keeps heavy pressure. He stays ready to slip, parry, and counter. He also, in his last fight, was doing a lot of lateral movement, trying to time Olynyk as he came in, land big leg kicks. He has a nice overhand right. He counters with it well. Like I said, he has powerful low leg kicks, and he can hinder the movement of his opponents with just a few kicks. He's famous for his walk-off KOs. He's 11 knockouts to his name. He used to have a granite chin, but recently he's been getting hurt in fights. 4 of his last 6 losses have come by KO, TKO. And he's been finished 5 times by strikes in his career. He's gotten much better at defensive wrestling. He does a good job of movement, angles, and uses his jab to back opponents off. He's short. He has a low center of gravity. It keeps it balanced, hard to take down. He's gotten much better at his defensive wrestling. He's using good lateral movement, good angles, just not letting opponents get inside on him. And he also is hard to hold down, especially early. He does a good job digging an underhook, exploding back to his feet. We saw that against Curtis Blades. Once Hunt gets taken down a couple times, even if he can survive, he seems to slow down, become much easier to ground again and keep down. And he was finished by Rudnick and Choke in his last match against Alexei Olynyk. He was grinded out by Curtis Blades. He almost finished both fighters. He proved he's still dangerous. He can't be slept on. Hunt has gotten better at defending submissions on the ground, and I think he shouldn't have to worry much about being submitted by Justin Willis. Hunt has been submitted 7 times in his career, but 6 of those 7 have come before 2010. And he's never gotten a submission in his career. He rarely is in top position. He has relatively good cardio for a heavyweight. He will have a wealth of experience over Willis. I imagine Willis will try to take this fight to the ground, so Hunt needs to have his lateral movement, his jab on point. He needs to move, try to catch Willis as he closes the distance. If he could walk Willis into a shot, he could get another patented walk-off KO. For Justin Willis, he's an athletic, promising fighter out of AKA. He's a huge heavyweight. He cuts at 265. He's an 82-inch reach. He's going to have a 10-inch reach advantage against Mark Hunt. He needs to accentuate that on the feet. He needs to find safe times to close the distance. And he's actually a pretty fluid striker. He does a good job staying long. He has a nice jab. He's always pawing his lead hand out to gauge and control distance. He has a nasty right hook, good straight left hand. He likes to slip shots and throw a counter right hook followed by a check left hook. His counter right hand is very powerful. He finished Alan Crowder with it and almost finished Chase Sherman. He will throw an overhand right, straight left combination as well. And he catches kicks well, throws uppercuts, straight punches while holding the leg. He's not much of a kicker. He'll throw occasional leg kicks. He showed good striking defense in his 3 UFC fights. He hasn't been hit much, but this is a massive step up in competition. He is very brash, and I'm sure he'll be extremely hyped to fight someone like Mark Hunt, very confident. And Willis has 4 KO TKOs in his career. He's been finished 1 time via strikes in his first fight. And Willis is trained with fantastic wrestlers at AKA. He's a decent grappler. He's good at a clinch. He likes to grab a single collar and throw hard uppercuts. He'll try to sweep the leg from that position, get trip takedowns. He also does a good job catching kicks, getting the fight to the ground. I see him trying to use his clinch in this fight early, get Hunt against the cage, lay on him a bit, try to wear him down. He isn't a super active grappler, though, in recent fights. He seems to prefer to strike. On top, he isn't super dangerous. He'll throw short punches, elbows at his opponent's guard, go body head. He just stays active enough to not get stood back up. He doesn't have great passing ability. Fighters are able to explode up from under him as he tries to pass. I think early he'll struggle to hold down Hunt if he takes him down. He's landed 4 of his 6 takedowns in the UFC in 3 UFC fights, so he has been a competent UFC wrestler. He isn't a submission threat with 0 submissions in his career, and he's never been submitted himself. He is slowed down in round 3 against Chase Sherman. He lost the 3rd round. He's only 8 fights into his MMA career. This is a big test to travel to a foreign country for the first time in a co-main event, fight a legend. I see Willis being calm, starting to fight, try to strike a bit from the outside. I see him eventually try to get a clinch, grind against the fence while looking for body locks. If he can get on top of Hunt early, make him work, he could have success striking in the later rounds, run away with the decision. And this is a tough fight for me to call. I think Hunt has a big chance to get a first shot knockout. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he got it, but I think that Willis is hungry. He wants to be the best. He trains with beasts like Kane and DC. I think he's going to come in with the correct game plan and implement it. So I'm going to go with Justin Willis via decision, but this is not a confident pick at all. And up next, we have the main event, Tai Tuivasa against Junior Dos Santos. And another matchup which I'm not extremely confident in as well. It's hard to be confident in these heavyweight fights where one heavyweight, in my opinion, in both fights, the veteran guy, Mark Hunt and Junior Dos Santos, they're both much more skilled fighters than the opponents they're facing. They have the technique advantage, but they do not have the durability advantage. JDS has been finished many times by strikes recently. His chin is definitely gone, and the way that he reacts to getting hit with shots is just, you don't like to see it. He backs up to the cage. He gives opponents, easier target to hit, and he really just shows up. He becomes very defensive. And it's hard to win fights in the UFC as a heavyweight if you become very defensive, if you shell up, you back up against the cage, because it's just too much power to be able to shell up and take those shots. You cannot do that against Tai Tuivasa. But the thing is, man, his jab, his straight punches, his movement are going to be a huge issue for Tai Tuivasa, man. This is a great matchup for JDS. These are the type of guys that JDS has eaten up over his career. When you look at his last matchup, Blagoy Ivanov, big guy, has a lot of knockout power. He likes to walk forward, bring the fight. And JDS was able to style on him 5 rounds. A guy like Ben Rothwell walks forward, brings the fight. Huge guy, knockout artist. JDS, he was able to style on him for 3 rounds. Control the pace, control the distance. And, just piece him up with his jab to the body. And, JDS is a special fighter with his hand speed, man. For being that big, he has great hand speed, great boxing combinations, big power. People forget. This guy's one of the hardest hitters in UFC history, man. We've seen what he did to Frank Mir, Cain Velasquez, Mark Hunt, Gabriel Gonzaga, Gilbert Yvel, Fabricio Verdum. He's knocked out so many guys, man. Mirko Krokop, Stefan Struve. He just takes out a lot of guys, man. And he's beaten Shane Carwin. He's beaten so many great fighters, and he has such a wealth of advantage over Tai Tuivasa and experience. The guys that Tai Tuivasa has fought, the best guy he fought is Andrei Arlovski. And when I watched that fight, man, I really believe Andrei Arlovski got robbed in that fight, man. The second and third rounds to me were not very competitive. I thought that Tai Tuivasa lost that fight clearly. I think that Tai Tuivasa, he's a very powerful guy. He's very explosive. He's very athletic for his size, very quick. And that first round is going to be a big danger round for Junior because Tai Tuivasa is a young guy. He could be improving very rapidly. No one knows how much he's improving, and he could potentially really come in here. He could push JDS against the fence and get a first-round finish and make everyone seem like he's extremely dominant and get a big-time win, But he also could go in there and, JDS could piece him up. JDS could finish him. You saw his face against Andrei Arlovski. It was a mess, man. He got beat up. His nose was bloodied, and he was actually picking at his nose a lot. So I think that, if JDS breaks his nose, I think that could be an issue over the entire fight for Tai Tuivasa. And also, you know, Tai Tuivasa severely slowed down after the first round. I mean, you saw that against Andre where he was allowing Andre to hold him against the fence. He was trying to find a lot of times where he could just relax, where he could breathe, where he could try to recover. And I just think that if he can't get him out of there early with his explosion, you know, I think that he really should try to get him against the fence, throw those big-time step-in elbows, throw those jump knees, try to get JDS in a position where he has to fight back with, you know, mano-a-mano, where he has to throw strikes in the pocket to back Tai off. But if he allows JDS to get his rhythm, get his distance control, start landing his jabs, landing his straight punches, moving, hitting, and not getting hit, it's going to be a long night for Tai Tuivasa. And I just think that JDS is just too skilled of a guy. He has too much experience. He's only 34 years old. He's, in my opinion, a little bit less weathered than a guy like Andre Arlovski. He's definitely the quicker guy on the feet. So I think that JDS is going to be able to get it done here. I'm going to go with JDS, be a 4th round TKO. But like I said, I'm not extremely confident in that fight because it is a heavyweight fight between two guys that can end the show really quickly. And, you know, obviously Tai Tuivasa is the guy with the much less wear and tear. So if Tai Tuivasa goes out there and get a knockout, I would not be surprised. But the pick for me is going to be JDS, being, like I said, 4th round KO TKO. And overall, though, I really like this card. I enjoy the card in terms of a betting card. I think that there's a lot of good spots here. I feel like, you know, Damir Ismagulov is a very... he's going to be my most confident pick of the week, and I feel like that he's in a very good spot to get a big-time victory there over Damir, or over Alex Gorgees. And like I said, I feel like Nakamura should get a win fairly easily over Salim Chouhari. I feel like Kara France should get a win pretty easily. I also feel like Giagos should get a win pretty easily, as well as Kunchenko, Sadiq Yusuff. So, I mean, I think a lot of guys could get pretty easy wins, you know, Tyson Pedro as well. But for the parlay of the week this week, I'm going to give you guys... Jim Crute and Kara France. And like I said, my most confident pick is going to be Damir Ismagulov. Some, you know, prop plays that I think potentially could be good plays are Wilson Hayes via submission, Alexei Kunchenko via knockout. I think Sadiq Yusuff potentially could get a finish as well as Jim Crute. Also, Anthony Rocco Martin. I'm going to be placing a bet on Anthony Rocco Martin. I already did place a bet on him, but I'm pretty confident that he's going to get the win, man. I mean, I could be wrong about this one, but I am pretty confident in my boy Anthony Rocco Martin. And, you know, so there are a few plays that I'm looking at. You know, I think that if you want to go with Mark Hunt, I would definitely pick him by knockout because I don't think he's going to win any other way, as well as Tai Tuivasa. And Shogun as well. I mean, if you want to take a stab on Shogun, I feel like the way he would win is by knockout, man. So that's how I feel like these fights are going to go down. I really enjoy the card. And like I said, please tell me how you like the new mic, what you thought of it, if it's a big improvement over the last one. And also, I'll be back very soon, so make sure to check out my video coming up on Tuesday or Wednesday. And thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Tell me what you think, who you think's going to win. Tell me what you think about my most confident pick, the part of the week. And let me know what fight you're looking forward to the most on the card. Let me know what bets you're making. And want to see everyone's input down there. Want to have a lot of comments, a lot of likes. So hopefully you guys can support the video. And thanks for watching again. And let's... make some money this weekend.